Wait, I don't know if my mic is working. Test. Okay. Yes, let's go live and then test the microphone. That's perfect. Really professional. Not that this stream is particularly professional at all, but anyway, yeah, we're back. It's Tuesday. I'm streaming. Hooray! And maybe on Thursday as well. I don't know. Maybe I'll have to change my schedule to like Tuesday and Friday, depending on how things go, because yeah, I don't know. I don't have a meetup this week at least, so that's nice. And yeah, I think I should be able to stream on Thursday as well. But let's just dive into things here. So last time I talked a little bit about what I wanted to work on for this week, and I ended up, just sticking with the 3 story points because that seems to be my current velocity these days. That is my average velocity overall as well. It's around 3 points, so I figure that I can just do 3 points a week. Keeps my schedule a little bit lighter as well. I can do streams on Tuesday and Thursday, and usually that's enough to get a 3-point task done. And then if I just do planning on Sundays, then I don't really, and I don't do anything else on the weekend, then yeah, I give myself enough of a buffer to finish off any tasks that are in flight. So I think that that's a pretty good strategy. But yeah, I've decided that I want to do logging first because it's the last kind of big component that I haven't really implemented yet, and I really wanted to get a design for that going because I don't really know where that's going to fit in the diagram either. I have a strong feeling it's going to be like an interface, and there's going to be like a concrete logging implementation behind it, and we're going to be essentially using like a logging facade, and every module is going to depend on that in some way. At least that's kind of what I'm currently guessing, but again, I'm not really too sure how this all works. So I've already pulled up a few tabs here because I'm doing a little bit of preliminary whatchamacallit, research. And yeah, just looked into how to do tracing in Rocket, and it seems like they have some open issues around this. They haven't actually finalized it at all. And here, actually, they were planning on getting it in for the 0.5 release, but they didn't actually manage to get it in on time. But here's an interesting PR, or I guess it's a draft. Switching from the log library to this tracing library, so I did look into that as well. That's over here. Now, I didn't actually read the documentation here to see like how it's any different from the log library, so that's something I want to do today. And aside from that, I also have this Reddit thread. I just kind of did a quick search for best practices with logging and Rocket, and this came up. So this seems like a good place to start. It seems directly useful to me because it's pretty much the exact same position that I'm in. They want to add logging to their Rocket app. There aren't really any recommended best practices, so they're asking for methods or perhaps warnings against particular logging strategies. Yeah, the GitHub issue related to logging in Rocket has been open for 3 years. There does exist a library Rocket slog, which should work. Interesting. You have to explicitly pass a logger throughout your application. Not ideal. Honestly, I'm kind of okay with that because explicitly passing a log, I mean, that isn't really ideal, that's true. But I mean, the way that my program is structured is relatively flat, so true, I would have to pass a logger through quite a few different functions and thread it through, but I don't know if that would be so bad. It would only go a few layers deep, at least for now. Maybe that isn't so nice later on. If there was some kind of reader monad in Rust, it might be a little bit easier. I don't really know if there's a good solution for that otherwise. I've heard from some people that you can use method syntax, like just regular impls for structs and stuff, to sort of emulate some of those benefits, but I'm not really sure if I've really seen that for myself. So let's see what other people have here. There's like nothing. I don't think there's anything else down here at all. Yeah, this is just other threads. Well, this is archived. This was posted 2 years ago. This person uses Fern. We can check that out. Efficient configurable logging in Rust. Let's see. The latest version is 0.6.0. No changes there. So you need both Fern and the log. Fern, all logger configuration is done via builder-like methods on instances of the dispatch structure. Yeah, I have seen these sorts of like info trace debug macros in the past. That does seem pretty useful. I wonder if you can mock this at all, or if maybe they don't think that that's a very important thing to do. So they have a setup logger method. I wonder if that's something we have to call, or if there's like a procedural macro you can just tack onto main and it'll just call into that, or how that actually works. And once the logger has been set, it will pick up all logging calls from your crate and all libraries you depend on. Alright, so there's that. This tracing. We can take a look at log as well, and rocket slog. Structured event-based diagnostic information. Okay. Interpreting log messages can often be quite challenging. Associated events and log lines are intermixed, making it difficult to trace the logic flow. Tracing expands upon logging style diagnostics by allowing libraries and applications to record structured events with additional information about temporality and causality. Unlike a log message, a span in tracing has a beginning and end time. May be entered and exited by the flow of execution and may exist within a nested tree of similar spans. Okay, this seems really complicated. Like, this seems more for like the power user maybe, or I don't know, maybe this is actually giving a lot better debugging information for people who are writing asynchronous applications. There is a bit of async in what I'm doing, but not too much as far as I know. Like, all the async stuff is pretty much at the top level of the application, mostly to do with like the Rocket API, and beyond that I'm not doing a whole lot of async at all. I mean, that could theoretically change, I suppose. But yeah, most of the async stuff is, by and large, all Rocket related. So it's not really a big deal to me. Tracing Crate provides the APIs necessary for instrumenting libraries and applications to trace data. Okay, yeah, I have the right compiler version, that's fine. Okay, let's see what this looks like at least. In order to record trace events, executables have to use a subscriber implementation compatible with tracing. If I was a big YouTuber, I would actually be all like, wow, subscriber? Wow, why don't you subscribe to the channel or something? But, you know, no. The subscriber implements a way of collecting trace data, such as by logging it to standard output. Okay. Tracing subscribers format module provides reasonable defaults. Additionally, tracing subscriber is able to consume messages emitted by log instrumented libraries and modules. Simplest way to use a subscriber is to call the set global default function. Oh wow, okay. Number of yaks equals 3. Info, this creates a new event outside of any spans. I don't know if this really works for me, because yeah, I have all those traits and stuff. I don't know. I don't know if it's okay to put like an info log like this into my business logic safely. I mean, I guess it's probably going to be relatively safe, but I imagine I would still be forced to instantiate one of their subscribers in order to use that. I don't know, maybe I need to look into log. Because being able to, you know, mock the logging stuff would be nice for, you know, running tests and stuff. But then, no, they said switch to tracing instead of log. So it's like log compatible, but isn't actually using log. Or maybe I'm confused. I don't know. Tracing creates macros. Okay. I don't know if I need structured logging. I'm really not sure. I mean, if you have structured logging, where does it all go? I don't know, I feel like I need to actually try this out just to get a feel for it. To see which of these solutions I like best. And which ones will work. Yeah, this could be potentially a bit of work. Compatibility layer with this, huh? Lightweight logging facade. Okay, LogCrate provides a single logging API that abstracts over the actual logging implementation. Libraries can use the logging API provided by this crate, and the consumer of those libraries can choose the logging implementation that is most suitable for its use case. I mean, this sounds pretty good, and I've definitely heard of the log crate before. Okay, so if no logging implementation is selected, the facade falls back to a no-op implementation that ignores all log messages. Okay, that seems pretty nice. Log request consists of a target, a level, and a body. Target is a string. Logger implementations typically use the target to filter requests based on some user configuration. Okay. And Fern, I guess, implements the log crate, because it depends on the log. You have to add the log dependency. This sounds to me like it's an implementation of log. Okay, I think I'm starting to get a picture of how everything works. Unfortunately, we don't have like a ton of opinions here. We just have this one that's like, I use Fern. It's got like 2 upvotes only, which is not a ton. There's apparently 4 comments in this thread, but I'm not seeing 4 comments in this thread. Yeah. Okay, there's a comment deleted by a user. That's probably where the other 2 comments were. Okay, this seems like it's a little bit more comprehensive, though. I guess I need to look into structured logging and understand a little bit more what it is and why it's useful. Yeah, that's true. I mean, yeah, that's useful. Searching logs is good. I just wonder if it's not overkill. You know? Like, it just feels like it could be overkill. I suppose it would be nice to have structured logging. Like, it might be overkill, but it's sort of one of those, like, nice to have things. I don't know how much that's actually going to help at the end of the day. But I guess, you know, better safe than sorry. Might as well try and go for structured logging. Right, yeah, it includes extra information in, like, JSON. I guess I might want to try Rocket Slog, or I guess S-Log for structured logging. I have to imagine that's what that S is for. Yeah, I'm probably gonna have to pass it around, but you know what? This sounds pretty useful. Okay, I don't really care how you're using it. I don't really think that this part is important. I just needed to get an understanding for what people are doing. Oh, there's an S-Log crate as well. Okay. And S-Loggers. Okay, let me look up Rocket S-Log. And then there's this tracing library, which I don't know. It just came out 4 months ago. Like, No readme. Over 2 years ago. This doesn't look like it's well maintained. 7 versions public. 6,000 downloads. This is not like a huge amount, but it's not exactly small. Sloggers? What's sloggers? Provides frequently used slog loggers and convenient functions. Okay, that's a lot more downloads and 30 versions published. That seems pretty big. How about this? Oh, well, I thought that'd bring it to the crates page, but no. Okay, I guess a lot of people really like this thing. Because even this blog post is talking about that. Although it is from 2019, bear in mind, it's a couple years old. Stuff does move pretty fast in the Rust ecosystem, so, yeah. Most useful features of Slog. Oh, the complex setup. Okay. Oh, interesting. So you do the configuration in a TOML file? Inline TOML string. True. You know, I've seen some books that claim that you shouldn't have like a global like static logger or anything like that. So I wonder how I mean they were mostly making that argument because, you know, testing and stuff might be a bit more difficult. Okay, so he's also using Rocket Slog. Okay, so it looks like we're making some headway here. I think Rocket Slog is probably the way to go. Okay. I'll keep this in mind. Because this person's also using Rocket. And this seems like it could be pretty useful. I guess we'll have to do a little bit more prototyping with this. And then see if I like it or if I don't. And yeah, I guess we'll go from there. This doesn't seem like it's going to do much in terms of structured logging, from what I understand. Yeah, this doesn't sound like it does structured logging, as far as I know. Ah, man. Sure, let's look at this. This sounds interesting. Tracing and slog. There we go, yeah. Slog has a lot of features like providing free trace and info logs. Users of library do not need to depend on slog, etc. Comes at a cost. Complexity. Slog is very complex. Tracing is very simple to use, with much better docs and easier to implement. Ooh, okay. I use tracing because it's popular and used by Rust core, which gives me more confidence. Okay. That sounds like what these folks are doing too, using tracing instead of log. Wow. Actually, yeah, I agree with this person. Can you substantiate those claims? Okay. So they are using it. Examples, too many. Extension, too many, like Jaeger. Open tracing. Videos. They're tracing crate related videos. Wow. Crate integration. Popular crate like Hyper Warp uses tracing. Okay, I see a lot of people talking about using tracing. Okay, I've seen a lot of references to syslog. Okay, well, I don't exactly have that kind of infrastructure available to me, so I think this will be not exactly very relevant. I don't think that's going to do a lot for me. Come to think of it, though, if I'm going to be hosting this thing on GitHub Pages, like what logging facilities do I actually have available to me that I can actually view? Like, I don't know. I don't even know if this is necessary or possible if I'm going to do that. Maybe logging is something I have to think about later, but actually that seems kind of dumb. Like, surely we want logging. Surely we want some amount of, debuggability. Maybe GitHub Pages is the wrong answer in this case. But yeah. Let's see. 16 upvotes, 14 upvotes. This guy's got 11 for slog. This one's got 7 for slog. Better async ergonomics is what I'm mostly seeing related to tracing. This one's another 7 votes in favor of tracing. That was a very thoughtful response. Unfortunately, there's no reply. to these questions, but logarithms then pass on explicitly to wherever the calls flow. Adding support for logger context in every function is a minor pain. Further, a logger has to be added to every test. And then they use a lazy static logger instance that's reused across tests. Okay. It's kind of what I figured. Like, if you have to pass the logger explicitly, like that's the kind of thing that the reader monad is really good for. And that's the kind of thing that, you know, this that Rust doesn't have. So that's kind of unfortunate. Yeah. Trade-offs for globals for logging. I'm gonna have to go back and look and see. No, this is incredibly relevant to me. Tracing seems like it may be able to add context that slog can't. Requires confirmation. Does not seem easier to set up and use. Okay. Only 4 upvotes on this big post, but I imagine that most people wouldn't read this big post, so. I have used both heavily. Strongly recommend tracing. Okay. Okay, well, this is not, I mean, it's not really, my use case specifically, I think, but I don't know. It seems like the general consensus is that tracing is the better library. This was posted 8 months ago. What's this? Popularity declining on this log. Tracing's popularity is going up. Activity is declining, but this one's growing. That's interesting to see. This one's not declining by a lot, but this one's growing a lot. This one's not popular by that much more, though. Only like 500 stars, roughly. Maybe under. Latest version, 9 months ago, both sides. 57-day release cycle, 31-day release cycle. This has a lot more forks. Tags, log, logging, hierarchical, structured, performance, asynchronous, log, async, futures. Yeah, a lot of stuff about async here. Oh, is this the predicted trend for tracing? It's gonna plummet. It's on a downward trend. People are less interested in this. Oh man, there's so many logging libraries. Of course, you know, that's how it always is, right? Like you look at the Java ecosystem, there's like a ton of different like logging libraries and so many options. Like that's what happens when your ecosystem starts to become more mature. So you just get options up the wazoo, and you have to do research just to decide which one you want to pick. It's not that easy. I don't know. Tracing seems like the new hype thing, though. I don't know. I'm not really entirely convinced about tracing, even though it seems like that's more popular. It feels like there's a lot more hype around that, and maybe it's better for like asynchronous contexts, and I'm not really doing a ton of async stuff, so I don't know if I can really. Global logging. Let me see. What do people have to say about this? The problem with this facade is that it's global, meaning that multiple instances of objects of a library using the logger won't allow the user to distinguish between the objects without said objects printing their addresses or some other information. Yeah, that seems to be a pretty big argument between like the global loggers and the non-global loggers. Like slog is not using a global logger. Tracing goes back to global logging. I don't know. It's so hard. Only print the logs you're interested in. Okay. Alright, this seems like an interesting thread. Let's read this. May also be interested in checking out the tracing cores facade layer. Though it provides primitives for structured contextual diagnostics, in addition to simple text logging, you can use the tracing ecosystem for textual logging. And tracing core has a mechanism for setting or overriding the default trace subscriber in a scope, rather than globally. Okay, so that's just overriding the the logger, I guess. Yeah, overriding the subscriber in a particular scope. So that's how they sidestep the issues presented here. Where you don't know which logger is being used in a particular context and stuff. Okay, interesting. It seems a little too alarmist to me, but let me comment on the substance of your argument. It's global. Causes some other problem. I do not subscribe to the all globals are evil crowd. They can be a problem because of what effects they can give, but they're not inherently a problem. I'm not saying you disagree. I just want to put that out there, okay? Multiple instances of objects of a library using blah 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 blah. I'm not sure what you mean. Maybe an example. Oh, this guy deleted his account. Yeah, this guy deleted his account. I always find it funny when someone posts like an opinion and then they like delete their account shortly afterwards, like within a year. So it kind of makes you wonder, right? If your application is using nvlogger as its impl, it's as easy as specifying a target in the Rust log environment variable. Sounds to me like the solution to all this guy's problems is log targets. Okay, so he's saying he wants to be able to map like one logger object to his client and one to his server. And that way you know if the logs are coming from the client or coming from the server. Interesting. Okay, and can have 1,000 different sockets with individual distinguishable contexts. Objects that are complex enough to warrant their own logger object. Then Laminar can clone the logger I gave. And then what are these key value pairs? Whew, this is a pretty heated thread. There's a lot of stuff here. I kind of want to continue this thread though, just to see what people came up with. Hmm. Yeah, this seems like I'm not going to be using this kind of stuff. This is like way more complicated than anything I think I could possibly need. Like this context specific logging and stuff like that. Like I don't see that happening. Yeah, this seems mostly kind of a bike shed. There's another argument about don't use global, but it doesn't really explain why. Why does it jump all the way down there? Alright, so it sounds like the options that we have are slog and tracing. That it really boils down to these two because people are not really considering log much anymore, as far as I can tell. I guess slog is just structured logging. Well, I guess no. I guess the I have made the choice that structured logging sounds like it's a better idea, just because it feels like it's the safer option. Like, having more debug information is nice. And it's also probably going to be more flexible. Like, I could probably use slog in the same way that I would use log and just print regular messages. And if I need to opt into the more structured logging, I can easily do so. So just in terms of, like, longevity, this might be the better option. But I'm not sure which of the two libraries I want to use, either slog or tracing. I'm going to have a think about that. I'm going to do a little bit more research, do a bit more reading. And then I'm going to decide which of the two libraries I think I'm going to go with. And then we're going to start prototyping and seeing how it works. And hopefully that goes well. So yeah, I'm going to do the prototyping next stream, I think. I'm going to do the decision off camera. And yeah, hopefully after that we'll be good to go to, throw the logger in and see how it affects our functional spec and everything. Which I do have to update that again. I do want to add some more like detailed design stuff in there because I haven't, and I probably should. So yeah, that's it for today's stream. And yeah, if you for some reason watched this far, I don't know why you would. Then yeah, thanks for watching. Again, I only do these streams because they make me more productive. That's literally the only reason why. Otherwise I wouldn't bother. But this is my time to sit down and focus on a task for this project and move the project as a whole forward. It gets me thinking. And yeah, just generally kind of helps me break down that context switching mental barrier that makes me not want to pick up a task. Because anytime I have to do like a context switch, it always takes me a while to get into things. And I never really enjoy context switching, but I feel like I'm getting a bit better at it. And working on this project has definitely helped me with that a bit, I think, as well. And the whole software timelining stuff too. I'm trying to get a better feel for how that works, and how to give myself adequate leeway for estimates and stuff. So yeah, that's it for today's stream. See you.